Woohoo, I'm live. Can you hear me? This is new for me. How's the sound? Can anybody hear me? Oh, great stuff. This is all really strange because I can't hear anything, so I don't know if you guys can hear or not. Is the image the right way around? Because to me, it's reversed. Excellent stuff. Not actually doing anything as such. This was just a proof of concept, just to prove that I could get it just to get the video up and running. I am a man with a plan. Yeah, it's not reversed that way. It's reversed horizontally, George. To me, that's my right hand side. Yeah, a dry run. It's just a this is just a webcam that I Logitech C something or other that I picked up yesterday, a car boot sale. My usual video camera won't do live as fancy as it is, but this Logitech one, it's only up to 720p, so it's not the best of the best, but it was £2 in the box. Yeah, that will be your right, but my hand there in the picture, George, is on my left, even though it's on the right hand side of the radio. But looking at it on the screen, which I probably wouldn't be doing, I might be glancing up every now and again, but I can't work out how to reverse the image on YouTube. Well, if it's normal, it's fine then. I'll live with that because I won't be looking at the screen. I'll be looking up at the chat sometimes, perhaps. But yeah, this was just to test the live stream now that I've got it all figured out on Windows. So this video, while it's up and running and we're all having a chat now, will be getting deleted in favour of a proper live stream at some point. PBC quality, yeah, thanks. Yeah, when I first, it's a couple of hours ago, when I first tried this, live chat was unavailable. I was a bit bothered about the image being reversed. I had no idea at that point whether the microphone was working or not. But yeah, this is just USB camera into computer, no other software, and it's just a web stream. It's not a stream, it's a webcam, whatever that means. I've got a lot of learning to do. A USB Omni mic. I'm guessing that's a standalone microphone that sits somewhere or other. I'm guessing that this isn't anything fancy, this Logitech webcam. Yeah, that's all I wanted for now, Andy. Was fine for now. I just wanted to prove that it was up and running. I used to be into computers and how they all worked and things, but Windows 10 has changed everything that I ever knew. The radio doesn't line up with the squares on the map. There you go. Few more subscribers to go as well to get my super chats on. A nice plant here, courtesy of Mrs. Codeeze. She insisted that I had one on the bench. I also got some candles, but I'm reluctant to use them because I'll burn the place down. There we go, straightening that back up. In fact, no, I'm just going to leave it like that just to annoy you a little bit, George. Thanks for that, Andy. Glad that it's working. Yeah, I just need some content for a stream now, George. I do have a plan. She does treat me well, Andy. Far too well. But then again, you know, I treat her really well too. So we're yin and yang. We fit together really quite well. Spin test. Oh yeah, it's got to spin 5 times, hasn't it? I think that passes. In fact, all of mine do. But we had Sean the other day, didn't we? Spinning them, but not falling over like that. But yeah, the other thing that I'll show you with this one, George, you already know about this, but if I knock off the lighting, how's that for a dial face? If I lift that up towards, where are we? It's the other way around, isn't it? Never been done before. He'll bail. No, George is with me all the way. Yeah, the luminescent, I played with that the other day, just to see. I have some of this stuff. It's ex-military. The batch expiry date was 2018, but there's 4 strips and they're foil strips, and they go into the dial faces really quite well. So it's going to be a unique effect on a lot of my radios. Put the mic in the box with the white thing. Yeah, is the white thing going to be travelling soon, George? Wenlock. Good morning, is it there? Yeah, just going back to this stuff again for a moment as well. I picked up 55 packs of this, so there are 55 packs of 4 strips, and they are, have a look, yeah, 30 centimeters. They're a foot long each, so there's enough to do a lot of radios there. Oh, lunchtime, Wenlock. Yeah, it is brilliant. It looks a lot better in real life than it did on the camera. I'll give you a quick look at that, because I'm quite pleased with that. It does save putting LEDs in, which I've done before. Other way, I'll line it up this time. I do. Yeah, I'm just up late tonight, just practicing with a YouTube live stream. Never done my own before. Couldn't get any of the settings right. The camera didn't work, the microphone didn't work, YouTube didn't work. I finally got it going. So as I've said to the other chaps, I'm not actually doing anything. This was just a test, just to make sure that everything was working, because earlier on as well the chat didn't work either. Buffering. Is it buffering for anybody else? No, it's Indiglo. It's a bit like one of my watches. It's luminous tape. If I just put the radio up there, if I just hold this up to the light just for a split second, turn on a super bright light up there, and just charge it up, then knock the lights off. There you go. That's the tape. Right. Oh, good, it's come good again, Wenlock. There must be some gremlins. Great stuff, Doug, thank you. As I say, it's not going to be a long stream. It was just a test, just to see if it's not something I've ever done myself before. I've been on Graham's live stream, obviously, previously, but I've never done my own. Never really had the capability to do my own. I've got a super duper camera that just will not do live stream, but the cheap camera that I picked up at a car boot sale, second-hand sale, yard sale, whatever you want to call it, yesterday for £2 British, seems to do the trick really nicely. Solid 720. You're gonna have to pay your TV tax. Yeah. That's a topic of conversation at the moment over here in the UK. It's they are thinking of turning the BBC to a subscription service. It's one way that they'll be able to catch all the dodgers that don't pay it. I suppose they're just looking to keep hold of their piece of the pie. Your candle ran out. Yeah, Wenlock, when I watch Graham's live stream on a Sunday, I see his clock in the background, and I'm sometimes a minute out. It's something to do with YouTube, I'm guessing, and the way that it processes things. Yeah, I'm going to bet that no one subs either. There's not that many programs, to be fair, on the BBC that I do watch. I mean, we do pay for the license because Mrs. Codeeze won't have it any other way, but I will read the BBC website for I won't call it news, but the latest speculations. And there are one or two programs that we watch, but we have Amazon TV and Netflix that we watch most of the time, so losing the BBC from our point of view won't be anything tragic. Yeah, nobody will sub to the BBC, George. Yeah, anyway, I'm just glad that this is working. It's almost 1 in the morning here in the UK. I'm still bright and shiny and awake and alive at the moment. I've not managed to kill myself off with anything high voltage yet. but I do have, I'll just move that one out of the way. I don't know if this one will fit in on the camera either, because it's such a bit of a beast, but this is what I'm going to be working on very shortly. Not yet, it needs parts, but it's quite a big old vintage, well, they're all old vintage, aren't they? But there we go, it's the Roberts RMB. I've got the valves for it, I've popped them inside. It's going to need recapacitating, but there's the valves in, all nice and shiny and new. There's some wires off the caps inside. It's been robbed for parts, but I'm determined to rebuild it. Yeah, old vintage, not new vintage. Yep, tubes, valves, I think that's what we've all evolved to call the valves. Australia did away with TV and radio licenses in the 60s. Oh. Yeah, it's got to be worth a refresh, that Roberts. I did rob it for parts. I've quite a few of this size of set. There's this one, which was the RMB. I'll just pop it back up a moment. There's this one, which is the RMB. There's the M4Q, P5D, all of a certain era, of a certain age, 40s and early 50s. The one that I did of these last was the P5A. Looks exactly the same as this, it's just set out differently inside. Is absolutely stunning, and I won't ever part with that. That's one of the keepers. It's up in the loft, put away for the retirement fund. But that's in blue. This one's obviously red, and it should clean up. Might as well give something a go while I'm here. And now let me just try the magic juice on the top of here, and you can see. And I've got some of it in a spray tube, spray container. I'll just rub some of that on and just leave it a moment. You can see the magic start to work. Valves. I'm not surprised your bell end is still black there, George. I know what you mean. You've done your is it your transformer top? Not really applying any pressure to this at all. It's just rubbing it around with a Scotch pad. And then just wipe off, and you can already see it's starting to, the longer you leave it on, the longer you leave it wet, the better it actually works. So yeah, so at some point in the near future there is going to be a Codeeze live stream. I have a plan for it. What that is, I'm going to keep the plans for that close to my chest, but it's going to be what I would class as quite something. Yeah, you're saying that you've got a network issue. I think we've got something going on here as well. I've just had to check the internet here. There's some gremlins in the works somewhere. I thought I'd lost the stream there for a minute. But I've got here in the workshop, and I'm about 65 feet away from the house. I've got 37 meg down, so I'm okay. Yeah, I'll be giving everybody a heads up on it in of notice. You know, probably several days' notice, to be honest. If I can work out how to do multiple cameras, I might actually invest in a new camera as well. I've got a couple of angles to go at. You see what I mean about the magic juice? I mean, you've got a lot of reflection there, but you can already see what it's bringing off. It's fantastic stuff. And that's with minimal effort. RMB, Doug, is, I believe it was about 1949. I'm just going to check that for you. Not 49, 59, I think. I'm getting my decades mixed up now. It's the pressures of a live stream. It's a Roberts RMB. There are several iterations with slightly different model numbers. 1951 to 1957. So I wasn't so far out. The trader sheet's 1960. The earlier ones, I think, were like the P5A. Look the same, but just set out completely different. I've got a different lineup inside. Yeah, the P5A, the blue one that I mentioned just a little bit earlier in the stream, 1946, exactly the same case, operates the same way, it's just got a different lineup inside. It also has a backlit dial face, which this one doesn't. Let's see if I can get rid of some of the glare. There we go. That's one of the lights off. So you saying there, George, that multi-cameras with OBS is fairly easy using camcorders and capture cards or multiple USB cameras. You're preaching to somebody that doesn't normally do this sort of stuff. I mean, I'm quite blown away. I've got a webcam, you know, a directional webcam. It's got no zoom capabilities or anything else on it. It is just a bog standard webcam, but I'm just blown away that it's actually working on live. It's mains and battery, this one, George. You were supposed to plug it into the light bulb socket. Got the adapter. There we go. It's mains and battery. No life in it at the moment at all. I don't even run it up on the Variac yet. There's wires off it inside. So I want to do all of the actual radio first before I even start thinking. I mean, it's got to have all the waxy caps taken out and the resistors checked. The valves are all brand new. I bought them not at the last Goldbone, at the it was the Goldbone before that, because I bought a couple of this type of set while I was there. I got the M4Q, I can't remember. I do have 4 or 5 of this type of set anyway. but I picked the valves up at the same time. That magic juice has really started to dig in there now. This will look, I mean, there we go, that's what it was like before I wiped its face. Get that off anyway. There's get the small one back in just for a bit of eye candy. In fact, I've got something a little bit bigger that I've worked on again yesterday. Didn't do it today, did it yesterday, but it's the Ever Ready Sky Baron. I'm sorry I can't zoom out. It's not a posh camera. It's a table radio, but it's battery only, and given the size of it, you would expect it to be mains. I've got a bit of polishing to do here, but it already has come up really nice. And
trying to be the best, it's all part of cheating. I think it's all part of.
it's just got the one long wave station when you tune it all the way over to the left, which I need to tweak inside so it's a bit clearer. Although it sounds like it's the Irish station. But it's fabulous now. I've changed the Codeeze one inside. I've got a couple of sets of these. Right. The Codeeze one XC131s, a couple of sets of them, and this needed a new set. Let me catch up on chat a minute. Will it take 3 hours a cap? Yeah, it could do, George. It could do, because when I'm going to be doing my first live stream, nerves will kick in. Mind you, this is my first one, and I'm fine with this, but that's because I'm not actually doing anything in it. Just reading back up the chat, I'm falling behind. Yeah, I need a tutorial on multi-camera work. I need a tutorial just on the one, to be honest. It's taken me a couple of hours to work this out. It kept saying that the camera was in use by another application and I couldn't use it, and there was nothing else using the camera. Very interesting project I'm in. I'm buying the beers as well then. Yeah, always take beer. I don't drink a lot of it. I enjoy it. I enjoy the taste of beer more than the quantity. Dansette Major isn't one that I've had before. You don't surprise me, George, that you have a couple of the Dansettes. I think you've got everything in there, haven't you? Floor model is a Kuba with a turntable. Kuba, is that how you pronounce it? Kuba with a turntable. I'm going to have to look that up as well. Yeah, back in the day, I think everybody used to save up to buy, well, even radios like this one, I suppose. They were, all right, we think of them as inexpensive, but back in the day, you know, wages weren't what they are now. But the price of the simplest gear was quite something. I mean, kit builds, people used to build their own test gear by mail order, because that was the cheapest way to get a, well, for instance, a signal generator. You could build a signal generator as part of a, I don't know whether it was a weekly kit where they sent parts out and you just built it bit by bit by bit. You want to see a tweed jacket install live? I don't have the tweed ones here with me at the minute. The tweed one will be, well, I won't be making another tweed one. That will stay unique, as will the other hunter that I just did in the chameleon covering. Depending on the light and the angle that you look at it, it's either purple, green, or nearly black, and it does look absolutely stunning. Yeah, that's what I was saying there, when, like, you know, you'd save for several months to buy something back in the day, whereas nowadays, I don't know what it is. I don't know. Are things cheaper? You know, I'm trying to compare tech just in my mind just now. You know, it's like when we needed a TV, we just went out and bought one. And does that make us better off now than people were back in the day? Or does it just mean that things are relatively less expensive in today's money than they were? You know, technology was only just coming on back then, wasn't it? You know, with the advent of Chinese manufacture, everything's got cheaper. Apart from now, of course, with China, where everything's getting unobtainium because they're not shipping anything out, or not shipping as much out unless it's ready on the way. I've looked at several options for getting hold of bits and pieces, and they're not available because of what's going on with the COVID-19 or coronavirus. Just check the stream again. There we go. I'll line it up just for George. Try and have a look and see what else I've got going at the minute. I did get something else from George, and he mentioned it the other day, and I dug it back out again. And I just need to untangle it. It's got a scope lead wrapped around it. Demonetized. I'm not monetized anyway. I don't do this for the money. I'll never do it for the money. I do this because I like it. I only ever started doing the YouTube videos just as a reference for myself. It's great to have people like you guys on board now, but I only genuinely really did it for myself. I like that I'm picking up extra subscribers because everybody seems to be genuinely interested in keeping this sort of stuff going. But yeah, I did. I got this from George when I called in on him really late one evening just several weeks ago. He gave me this and I brought it back to play with, and it is the smallest black and white TV I have ever seen in my life. Don't know whether I left batteries in it. Possibly not. Let's have a look, because I have had this on. Can I get this out of the case without unclipping it, or do I have to unclip it? Of course I have to unclip it, it's live. There we go. If I wasn't live on YouTube, I'd be able to get this out of the case in 1.3 seconds flat. But because I'm doing a video, it's playing hardball. Right, so I've got the lever there to get the battery pack off. I think I've got batteries in it. Yep. There's the radio. Just stand that up. Pop an aerial up. Where are we on the tuning?
Severe. So in terms of the numbers, Singapore has had fewer cases than South Korea. They haven't had some of the virality that you have.
There we go, Wenlock. I think that's a update on the virus.
500 hectares have been burnt
but yeah,
down. And what made it really
radio now works okay. The battery pack,
that
when I first got this from George, had seen better days. There was a lot of trouble. I think that's why you gave me it, wasn't it, George? It was a project. But if I flip the switch on the side, well, I'll turn that around so you can have a look. Actually, what have we got there? We've got AM, FM, radio, FM with AFC, VHF, UHF, TV, radio, and TV UK. So if I switch it on to TV, and there's nothing plugged into it at the minute, but there you go, that's also working as well. We've got the external antenna, brightness contrast on the side, DC input on the other side. So I'd have to cobble a way together of feeding a video signal into it. But I'm pretty sure that, I don't know if you can see, but this grill is actually moving as well when you do the TV tuning. It's obviously not going to pick anything up, but we do hear the changes in the static, so I'm confident that that screen, I just think it's the cutest thing ever. We got the screen size. There's the visual, the observable size, centimeters, which is 1 3/4 inches by just over 1.5 inches. So it's tiny. Love the little dot as you switch it off. Hi, Keith. Yeah, it was just something in the auction batch, George. I love this. I absolutely do. It still needs a little bit of work on it. All I've done with it so far is the battery pack. The radio tuning's a little bit iffy, but it'll come apart and get a service. I might actually do a video on this because I haven't found another one. I've seen there have been a couple sold of these on eBay. They don't make an awful lot of money, but I haven't found a video on one that shows them off. There was a couple of different models of this as well, with a different fascia on the front, but still the same size screen. I mean, 2 3/4 inches was that? Not 2 3/4 inches. 1 3/4 inches by 1.5 inches. It's a small screen. It's kind of what you'd. That's probably a bit bigger than I expect to see inside a video camera, isn't it? Yeah, I've seen some small TVs before in my time. In fact, I've had the small TVs before. You know, things like, I think the smallest TV I'd ever had before was the Sega Game Gear, the TV adapter. That was fantastic. Colour TV on the Game Gear, so you could play Sonic, and then when you got bored of that, you could put the telly on and watch the snooker. Measure on the diagonal. Yep, 2 inches, George. I know a bloke who's got a room full of them. As do you, I'm sure, George. In fact, he's got so many of them, he's had to put some under a tarpaulin out in the yard. Get this one out of the way. And then, for everybody's delectation and delight, before it disappears into the Codeeze loft, into the retirement fund, I am going to bring in this just to show you guys, and then I think I'll call it a live stream night after that. But here we have the Roberts Rambler, or the Robots Rumbler, as George likes to call them. The finest of all portables in the original box. Roberts Radio Rambler in the polystyrene on the sides. There we go, turn that round. There's the serial number, Snow White. Yeah, everybody's phone's got a bigger screen than that. I'll pop this out. This is one of the best white Roberts Ramblers I have ever seen. It's pretty pristine. It's very pretty. Really, I should be handling this because it's so like new with white cotton gloves. I absolutely adore this. And as white Ramblers go, I also know a man who this will pass the test as well, the 5 spins easily. It is a minty, absolutely, Keith. It's absolutely minty. Still works. Haven't changed anything at all inside it. I kind of don't want to because this is as original as they come, and it's even the Rexy, the white leather cloth. It still feels like it just came out of the factory. It's got a silky, yes, it's textured, but I can't describe how new that actually feels, never mind looks. But it's absolutely minty. This one is going into the retirement fund up in the loft, which will take the running total to I think the other day I put one in, so when I put this one in, that'll be 409 sets in the retirement fund. One last look before I pop it away. got fingerprints on it now. I'm going to have to give it another polish. Is everybody still with me? I've not bored everybody to death yet. Five watching and 3 likes. Oh, this is... YouTube is quirky to me. It's a novelty. As I said earlier, I do YouTube for myself, for my own reasons, so I can look back and see what I've done and the way that I did things. And it's just great that other people have joined in, and it kind of gives me a boost and it helps me along the way. 4 likes there, George. Only 3 according to this. Do you know, I'll probably have to click like myself just to give it a boost. The next one I'll bring in, and then I really will, I think, have to call it a day, because this was only meant to be a 2 or 3 minute thing. But I've quite enjoyed the chat, so the next one I'll bring in, it's not quite finished yet because I need an aerial, but I've covered it in the chameleon type cover that I covered, that hunter that I mentioned that I don't have here. So this is a Roberts R757, and there it is. Get the handle out of the way. I've put a grommet in the aerial hole at the moment, just because it's all nice and clean and tidy inside. Couple of jobs still to do. Obviously, yes, it needs an aerial, and the grill needs a repaint as well. There's too many marks on there just to so I'll take the grill off, but I don't know if you can see the color change. It goes from black to green to purple. It's just really nice. I don't know if you're getting the effect on that, but here in real life it looks fantastic. So yeah, there's the grill to do, the aerial to do. I've done the inside of it. I've done the electrical on it, and then it'll need a polish up, and that'll be ready to go to a forever home. Is the paperwork with it? You mean the white Rambler? Yeah, I've got the original sheet inside the box. Well, I say the sheet. It's just it's not an operator's instructions or anything like that. It's kind of, it's just this is what it is and this is what it covers. I'll get that one out of the way as well. Everybody still there? If you're falling asleep, say yes. Well, you're still here then, George. But you're asleep. Well, as I say, I think I will call that a day. Thank you very much. And there's the thumbs. Thank you very much for joining in on my first ever live stream. I didn't think I'd ever do it again, but I am a man with a plan. I do have an idea. Whether it comes to fruition or not, there's my Mrs. Codeeze plant. Very nice. I won't call it what George is already calling it in his head. It's a nice trimmed bush. There you go. I did call it that. Yeah, I wasn't ever going to do a live again after I'd done the one at Graham's on the Radio Cruncher stream. I found it really... I was way out of my comfort zone, and I did say at the time, never again. But the time's approaching. I do have an idea, and it will appear at some point. How soon, I'm not sure, but this was just an impromptu proof of concept. Just a test to make sure that it could. What boxes are you shifting, George? Just going to have a drink. We're not sponsored by Pepsi. Melons and beer. Or melon beer. Right, thanks very much again for joining in. If you haven't clicked like, click like. If you haven't subscribed, which I know you all have, subscribe. It's been great to do this as a proof of concept, as a one-off. Like I say, I do have a plan. It will come to fruition at some point. How soon, I don't know, but soon enough. Because if I leave it too long, I'll change my mind. But there we go. Thanks very much for joining in, everybody. And I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.